Hello truthers, welcome back to our channel. Well, below the shiny, happy veneer of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, hardly anything is as it seems. Alrighty, Season 3, here we go, yet another chapter filled with royal waterfall drama that threatens to leave you teetering on the edge. Get ready for perhaps the most explosive story since the royal civil war itself. Brace yourselves for a tale so epic, so colossal it could bring the entire royal civil war toppling to the ground in one fell swoop. Bring your popcorn for this one. Before we jump into the stormy oceans of this revelation, if you haven't pressed that subscribe button and rung that bell yet, do it. Trust me, you do not want to miss the bombastic content that we are about to reveal. Next, the rumors built around the rumors that King Charles and the newly anointed Prince of Wales William had totally had it with the Duke and Duchess of defamation. And yes, the bigwigs are reportedly whispering darkly about depriving Harry and Meghan of even their last, flimsy links to the royal firm. Courtesy titles they are clinging to like glue. Frankly, the anger, frustration in Charles and William must frankly be indescribable to even be considering such a horrific action, and I am at a loss. That the licensing and selling out of the crown's thousand-year heritage is permissible, indeed subjected to open debate, the leadership of this most successful colonial empire, on whether to cast off his own son and heir, shows just how deeply Harry and Meghan have stained and abhorred themselves inside the secret club that the royal family embody. Should this occur, it would be a bridge burnt too far in an already fragile relationship between the royals and the renegade American duo trading on, and trampling over, their royal connection. Insiders at the palace are reported to believe rapacious interviews, documentaries and memoirs have worn down even the most hardened members of the royal family to the extent they are considering drastic options. The ongoing public spectacle, riddled with allegations and counterclaims, has not only tarnished royal goodwill but, critics argue, risked damaging the monarchy itself. Just imagine the aftermath of this piecemeal exertion of this all-encompassing approach. This would create the biggest media storm the world ever witnessed, as reporters from tabloids and news networks around the world do their best to give us every detail imaginable. And, finally, public opinion, which is already so polarized, would likely become more polarized still, with true believers of each faction screaming in defense of their own until the bitter end. But, we must not forget there is a potential legal fallout as well. The removal of Harry and Meghan's titles could trigger a series of lawsuits and court battles, providing an unvarnished glimpse into the House of Windsor's internal squabbles for all to see. That in itself would have large financial implications, never mind the emotional toll on all those involved. Ultimately, the potential dramatic steps being considered by King Charles and Prince William demonstrate the depth of the schisms that exist within the royal family. The discussions may not actually result in concrete steps, but the fact they are being had at all is a testament to the scale of the crisis. The absolute, when all else has failed nuclear option, only to be used in the most pressing circumstances, would protect the sliver of reputation the monarchy still had. It would be a drastic move, but a clear statement to the monarchy would be, enough is enough, and these pseudo-royals should be thrown out of the realm once and for all. Admit it, without their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, Harry and Meghan are a much less convincing proposition. These names are the last remaining card the two have to play to keep such an implausible idea alive, that of them still being significant world figures. It effectively functions as a firewall against the kind of external opportunists who are heiresses or erstwhile grooms at best, looking to cash in on the institution they scorned. This was exemplified by a recent, ill-conceived, publicity tour of Nigeria, staged appearances and contrived photo ops included. Sitting regally on her new throne-like chair, which was also bejeweled with their now incorrect titles, she laughed at everyone else, striding in seemingly like our royal representatives, speaking to the peasants. It was an utter lack of humility and self-awareness, even by Meghan and Harry's historic lack of standards. One can only question the real motives behind such a pathetic sight. Surely they knew that aping royalty in a foreign land would rejuvenate the somewhat tarnished Duke and Duchess titles. This was not lost on them, and yet rather than hide their shame, they confirmed the stench, holding out the beggar's mug for bounty, and in doing so, revealed an empty bottomless pit of pride and marked evidence of a depleted purpose. Not only was this disrespectful to the monarchy in Nigeria but also showed a poor degree of judging the intellectual level of the masses here. They think by throwing around their titles people will forget the things they have done in the past and drink the Kool-Aid that is behind them. Like you can always tell when the homies is in a desperate situation, and they pretend too hard, making the difference between their reality and their perception way too large. Similarly, in the continued application of these titles as leverage in their endeavors, it shows that they struggle to create an identity distinct from the monarchy. Every time they appear in public or some other capacity with their titles brazenly advertised, these acts further illustrate the stranglehold that the institution they drifted away from still has over them. This is part of a prevailing pattern of the benefits of, if you will, using the royal tea, while not having to walk the course that goes along with it. That might be a cautionary tale in self-promotion and over self-assurance. Eventually, their titles, once seen as marks of honor and royalty, are instead the ball and chain that they can never manage to break, a constant reminder of the thing they gave up and will never get back. This desire to be relevant, obsession with titles that are less important now than ever before, and lack of respect for the call for principled leadership will only confirm their isolation while inviting more ridicule. While this extreme may seem quite severe, it may be necessary in order to preserve the monarchy from immediate destruction. It will be a direct message that honor and respect cannot be won or retained on mere titles. Harry and Meghan should take it as a wake-up call that real credibility, and real impact, come not from the use of blank titles, but from doing actual, literal things that matter. Palace courtiers are not stupid, they know a line has been crossed, for which reason the rebranding of the Queen and her abdication of tiresomely swapping between refereeing her wayward brood has an allure. It is time they met their match, a last institution that stands out of step from their continued insistence on remaining in the limelight, like it or not. Based on the series of events, they continue to exhibit their ulterior motives. Instead of quietly fading out of public life, they continue to trade on their royal connections and use titles they have no right to claim. The Queen's notoriously loyal grandsons, Charles and William, have, however, finally had enough of this behavior. The tolerance and lenience that has been granted to Harry and Meghan is fading as the time ticks by, and the royal family's respect continues to be eroded by the couple's actions. For all the complexities of human emotion that reside within Charles and William regarding the decision made by the palace, Harry and Meghan have proved time and again not equal to the royal shilling. But over time, they have managed to debase their standing by lurching from one scandal to the next, besmirching not only their own names, but the name of the organization they once belonged. Sick text utils, their money-spinning Netflix deals and hypocritical claims to the more recent attacks on the public stage have seen the once adoring public turn on Harry and Meghan. The pair have also tarnished their reputation by appearing to court publicity in ways that look tawdry and unrelated to their royal roles. The patience of the royal family is running out because a series of mishits is taking Harry and Meghan closer to being stripped of their titles. Their ongoing refusal to accept responsibility for their actions, coupled with their continued pursuit of financial gain, has undermined their position with the royal family, and each new scandal only makes reconciliation less probable. Given their behavior, the calls to strip them of their titles are as much about the need to punish some as it is to save face for the institution. This is a quick way of saying no more. It must adhere to its principles and integrity even when those who are undermining it more than once remain associated with it. But Harry and Meghan's fall from royal grace to public disgrace is also a cautionary tale that may exemplify what happens when one believes themselves to speak truth not to power but as an individual brand, unfettered from responsibilities and deference to the institution. The astonishing gall of Harry and Meghan in the ethical profiteering and rank hypocrisy trail they have left in their wake is breathtaking in length. Their continued conduct have eroded the dignity and religious principles linked to their royal titles, tarnishing the picture of royalty. Leaving Harry and Meghan's dubious titles as Duke and Duchess stand only underlines their worst traits and degrades the image of the monarchy. Harry and Meghan have, in these instances, proven to be anything other than the noble custodians of such a distinguished heritage, and with the addition of these associations, there is no laying them to rest. This has not only led to a sour taste in many people's mouths, but has also clearly done a number on the public perception of the royal family as a whole. The alternative is the King Charles provokes them until the end, then executes them himself, but that puts him on trial for treason. If even he succeeds at all, such a risk would be a foolish gamble. At its core, it would be a powerful reminder that you cannot let your Hollywood power couple egos get the better of you by overextending your remit and borders when it comes to the institution of the monarchy. Permanent removal of these false appellations would conveniently relegate them to dishonorable obsolescence, those unmasked as mere American grifters for the masses. They would be quickly forgotten as people outside the tabloids in the shadow of a royal lineage. That symbolic act by Charles, defying his own kin, not only won him the reputation as the king of the people, but also as the king of duty, honor, and the crown, first and foremost. And in the most extraordinary of signals, leaving behind satanic son Andrew and screeching daughter-in-law Sarah in doing so, something no monarch has ever felt they had the right before to do. But combative and passive Meghan and Harry are not going to disappear into the night, are they? On the contrary, they will likely launch another round of the victim card, claiming that they are being silenced and oppressed because they are rebel rousers. Expected strategic dissemination of PR messages regarding bullying, racism, and institutional bias centered on targeting like-minded global media outlets. That response is likely to be predictable, with headlines splashed across the globe as a continuation of their perpetual desire to please and pander to the prevailing narrative. Ultimately, the Harry and Meghan saga is far from simple, and one that is quickly developing a nuanced narrative. Such a move could represent a turning point in the monarchy, and serve as an example of the palace's values and principles and a bid to censure the couple for their go-it-alone approach. In the wake of this action, and in order to afford some degree of dignity to the country's royal household, it may be necessary to remind the young crown prince and his siblings of the responsibilities and obligations associated with titles of such historical significance. But it is clear that staging race-related charges and playing the victim card is all that is left to the couple whose clout and moral credibility have been all but obliterated. Even Harry and Meghan will cotton on eventually, no matter how much they try and assert they are not making the running. With the buckets, it appears the chapter of toxic parasitism has closed. Ultimately, it seems as though they will be stripped of their royal associations. It's a disgraceful, wholly unremarkable end befitting of two who traded everything for fame and acclaim and more and then got naked, only to eventually blow up in their faces. The ironic footnote of history will only illustrate them as a warning of hubris, of the most base of instincts attempting to take on true power and wield royal influence. It was inevitable that their uneducated peasant ways would collapse during their shameless, pseudo-royal odyssey. Bravo for King Charles III standing as the unequivocal and broad figurehead to yield the axe with the immediacy, defining a clear boundary of right and wrong, and save the monarchy from having to relinquish the blood-soaked elements, before any taint of the monarchy's honor itself was forever vanished. And so, protesting or otherwise, their days of removal are an inevitable necessity, the natural end of a star on the verge of supernovae, poignant in its very destructive temporariness. Their fall, like a dead asterisk operator star, shows us all how quickly they who forget their station are felled. When Harry and Meghan first announced their decision to step back from their duties as senior royals, it was all couched in terms of agency and a desire to lead a more independent life. But everything else he did next, the interviews, the appearances in the media, the big contracts with the top streaming services, told a different story. It turned out they wanted to leave not in the hope of escaping from the public eye, but so they could enjoy the benefits of their royal status while being free of the duties associated with royalty. The white population, as a whole, is no longer sympathetic to their story of victimhood. Public patience has worn thin, and previously sympathetic voices have become more critical. Them trying to present themselves as victims of an oppressive system now falls flat in light of their luxurious lives and regular public outings. Even more troubling, many of their scathing reflections on the royal family being peddled as uncompromising truths, are now being spun as works of media manipulation and desperation. They have further tarnished their credibility with inflated or unsupported claims. Public skepticism is rising in proportion as their story loses influence. Many looking to maintain the dignity and antiquity of the monarchy will understand King Charles III's determination here: never more. The move shows a commitment to integrity and a refusal to tolerate anyone who would sacrifice it for personal advancement. Making this decision is not just about ensuring the survival of the monarchy, it also brings back a semblance of stability and dignity to an institution that has weathered a great many storms throughout the centuries. Likewise, in the grand tapestry of British royal history, Harry and Meghan may be written not as the pioneering figures they set out to be, but as cautionary tales of what happens if personal ambitions are laid against public duties without a hard-won commitment and respect for the roles they inherited. That's it for our video, my friends. I hope you have liked it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and like the video. If you haven't done so yet, if you want to be first to be informed about my content, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on notifications. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself and stay healthy. I'll see you in the next one.